Okay, I guess I'm live. So this is a live stream. This is a Bible study, the SDA Bible study. Yeah, so let's see, got chat. Okay. So 5 p.m. the June 27th, 2022. This is lesson 1 in Sabbath School Bible Study Guide. Anyway, okay, so this one has like a short amount of reading. It's Psalm 23 and Romans 12, 18 to 21. There's additional reading, but for the bulk of what the lessons are about, or the lesson, yeah, it's just the lesson. So yeah, what the lesson is about, that's the main reading, and then there'll be more stuff assigned. And I did the study for the week, so I can just do it all now rather than spend the hours or so looking at all the references. I can just say it all now. So yeah, that's Saturday, so Sabbath afternoon. That would be that reading. That's okay. The past Saturday. Okay, so for Sunday, June 26th, there's what do you learn about the shepherd from each text? So this is Isaiah 40:11. So basically, I'm just going to say my answers that I got. That's why I like the studies, because I can just go, oh, hey, this is what I think. Wow. There's some cultures, they'd be like, don't worry about thinking and putting your own answers for stuff. Anyway, so this is, I don't know if I'm going to do any of the reading exactly, because I already did it. I don't really want to put more time into rereading it, but maybe I'll at least have a look at it. 475. So Isaiah 40:11. 40 and 11. He tends his flock like a shepherd. He gathers the lambs in his arms and carries them close to his heart. He gently leads those that have young. I found that significant because he says he gently leads those that have young. So he basically, in the analogy or metaphor, he's like teaching the parents how to be parents, to be able to parent. And so Jeremiah 5:25. Oh, there's Jeremiah. Okay. 23, 3, 4. I myself will gather the remnant of my flock out of all the countries where I have driven them, and will bring them back to their pasture, where they will be fruitful and increase in number. I will place shepherds over them who will tend them, and they will no longer be afraid or terrified, nor will any be missing, declares the Lord. And I find that significant because basically, in the analogy, he's like, oh, okay, I'm going to leave you a government. I mean, in some way of looking at it, right? Like, I will place shepherds over them who will tend them. Like, they're supposed to know what to do and what not to do. So yeah, anyway, so I got, so yeah, the question is, well, yeah, what do you learn about the shepherd from each text? And so from Jeremiah 23, 3 and 4, I learned prosperity is made, and basically have sexual reproduction. That's what they say, where they will be fruitful and increase in number. So there has to be a particular climate that would have this prosperity. So anyway, so Ezekiel 34:12. Maybe I would have it open. Usually they don't have this type of format in this study. No, in the comments yet. Anyway, I don't know. I think people mostly just kind of talk and kind of wait for people if they're like looking for live streams and stuff. And anyway, it'd be nice to get some sort of feedback. But anyway, Ezekiel, we're looking for Ezekiel 577, 577, 34:12, 34:12. 34:12. Yeah, this feels like it's going to go on forever if I do it this way. 34:12. As a shepherd looks after his scattered flock when he is with them, so will I look after my sheep. I will rescue them from all the places where they were scattered. Ezekiel 34. Oh, what am I looking at? Okay, wait, Ezekiel. Did I read the wrong thing? Yeah, as a shepherd looks after his scattered flock when he is with them, so will I look after my sheep. I will rescue them from all the places where they were scattered on days of clouds and darkness. I feel like maybe that was something. Which I can't really find the point that I made. Shepherd. Oh, okay. I think I read. Anyway, shepherd had obedience and efficiency. So I'm probably going to do that a lot where I get a little distracted. um, yeah. So Ezekiel 34:12, shepherd had obedience and efficiency because he says, so shepherd had obedience. So as the shepherd looks after his scattered flock, so will I look after my sheep. I will rescue them. So basically, he's just accountable. The shepherd is accountable, and so that's the thing about being human and studying the Bible is there's a lot of situations of like, wait, what did I just read? What did I think back then? What do I think now? And so looking back on it now, I'm already like, okay, so what is this point here specifically? So that's, I guess, maybe a good thing why I'm reading it. As a shepherd looks after his scattered flock when he is with them. So when they're all there, but they're all like maybe some close, some far away, so will I look after my sheep. His scattered flock when he's with them. I will rescue them from all the places where they. So yeah, so when it's a dark day and they're going out and about, like his accountability is present. But this note that I made, I feel like I was looking at the wrong thing. I will bring them out from nations, gather them. Anyway, I guess I can move on from that. Shepherd had obedience and efficiency. But I just don't see the note that I would have made about obedience unless I read something else. As a shepherd looks after his scattered flock, so will I look after my sheep. I will rescue them from all the places where they were scattered on a day of clouds and darkness. So I guess I would make a new note because it just doesn't seem exactly what I'm looking for, and like for an answer there. Because yeah, shepherd had obedience and efficiency. I think I read something else and then got from that the answer I wrote down. So anyway, John 10:14-16. John, so 7:36. 7:36. Bring them also. They too will listen to my voice, and there will be one flock and one shepherd. I think that's where I got the sense of obedience and efficiency. I think that's what I was, because that sounds more like efficiency, right? They'll become one flock, so there's obedience, right? But anyway, okay. So my note is the shepherd serve sheep from other areas. So the whole like aliens thing, or not aliens, but foreigners. And anyway, just grouping them together like, hey, come on, we're all going to be doing this and protected and served and all that good stuff. They too will listen to my voice, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. Yeah. Sounds right to me. Okay, so then the last one here is 1 Peter 2:25. 1 Peter. Okay, 1 Peter 8:39. 8:39. That's James. There we go. 1 Peter, is that where we're at? 1 Peter, okay. 2, 25, For you were like sheep going astray, but now you have returned to the shepherd and overseer of your souls. So shepherd brings in lost sheep. So there are people who are going astray, and he's like, okay, like, you're back in the flock. So now this one is now turn to Psalm 23. What does the shepherd do to care for his sheep? No one in the comments yet. That's the thing too, is I made it subscribe mode for a minute. So it's like if anyone wants to comment, they have to subscribe. So I don't know. That might be a tall order of expectation or anticipation. I don't expect people to, but yeah, if they want to comment, then I guess they need to subscribe. Anyway, okay. So do I even have any like views? I'm really not familiar with all this, and it's already been 12 minutes. It's like, anyway, let's see. All messages are visible. Nothing. And I don't know where to look for anyone viewing. It's not really obvious. I mean, these live streams do go on for a long time, but obviously this is, I don't want to be inefficient as much as possible. Okay, now okay, so Psalm 23. Psalm 23. That's a big chapter. I should be able to just find it. Or not chapter, but a big book in the book. Yeah, there's some. Oh, okay, I had a little thing marking it. Okay, so Psalm 23. I'm not going to like read it, but not from start to finish anyway. So yeah, what does the shepherd do to care for his sheep? Psalm 23. Number 2. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. Sounds nice. So for me, what I got is he gives rest time. So 23:3. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And so I have having sheep makes him a shepherd. God has paths. So when people are on like a spiritual journey or a godly journey or whatever, like however they want to phrase it, it's not only one, perhaps. There might be a number of paths, right? And so there are a number of systems. So yeah, it would make sense that some of them probably like connect and disconnect and join up again. Maybe someone has a similar path for a while. Yeah, so that's 3, right? He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And again, right, here's like another note, right? Having sheep makes him a shepherd. That's the note that I got from that, but I think there was something else that was related to that I was reading. Anyway, so 23:4. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So to me, I guess, yeah, that's his tools. I was just thinking, like, hindsight here, his rod and your staff, or your rod and your staff. Those are his tools for shepherding. And I'm not sure the difference between rod and staff. Maybe, I mean, I know what a staff is. It's like a walking stick kind of thing. But then the rod, it's kind of a similar thing. But yeah, I don't really know the imagery there of but they are at least like tools for shepherding, right? I think so. I think rod sometimes is used for punishment. Anyway, so he gives calm via confidence and excellent leadership for us. Some of these notes I feel like are like a scripture writing off. Like maybe I read something different. Gives calm. So let's see. 4 gives calm. Okay, so it's like a reassurance, right? Like I will fear no evil, and fear to me is reverential awe. But here they use I will not be scared by evil, is what they're saying. Is what I think. So anyway, yeah. So that's the part that is he gives calm, right? Because if you're not being scared of evil, you're probably a little more calm than other people. Let's see here. Yeah, so he's by being an excellent leader. So his leadership is so great that it's like, oh, okay, there's nothing to really be concerned over because he's leading me quite well, to put it simply. So I guess I can move on to 5. 23 from the house of the Lord forever. Sounds wonderful. So he gives us strong faith, right? Because he's saying you'll dwell in the house of the Lord forever, and surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life. So I like it. What does it mean to you to know that there is someone like this caring for you? It makes me feel whole. I'm like, okay. Like even as a person who's aware of the spirit and the flesh, it's like, well, okay, well, if you have the spirit and you're in the flesh, it's like, okay, well, this house is as whole as it can be, given the circumstance. So it's like reassurance. How could you use this picture to encourage someone whose picture of God has been obscured because of his or her own struggles, whatever they are? So do they call them? No, the whole thing is a lesson for the whole week. So this is Monday's study. So identify from Psalm 23 the locations that David sees the sheep passing through when following the paths of righteousness as they make their way to the house of the Lord. So I just put green pastures, quiet waters, paths, and a valley. How conscious are you that righteousness is the shepherd's priority for your life? I'm not very. How conscious are you that righteousness is the shepherd's priority for your life? I mean, I'm as conscious as I think I might be, right? Consciousness, unconsciousness, subconsciousness. How conscious? I have faith God has a plan. But as far as being conscious, I'm sure there are a lot of things I don't really know that I might be near. So anyway, so just the rephrasing or reading. How conscious are you that righteousness is the shepherd's priority for your life? I say not very, but I mean, the shepherd as being God. Righteousness, yeah, it is what he was wanting me to go toward. I don't want to do the other stuff. Like I think there's a number of like pridefulness that people are confused about words and their meanings, and that yeah. Anyway, I don't want to go claiming I'm on a path of righteousness, but at the same time knowing fully I am working toward a path of righteousness, or I'm on a path of righteousness, something to that effect. Because I do pray and I do have little miracles that happen, so I know God's aware of me. Just something that's succinct and achievable. It's not this like monster that people make it out to be sometimes. Anyway, I guess that's everything there. Yeah, study, prayer. Yeah. So this is for Tuesday now, June 28th. Think about the times you have been in your own valley of the shadow of death. What has it been like? Did you have fear even though you knew that the shepherd was there? Which Bible texts were most precious to you at that time and why? So the way I comprehend the valley of the shadow of death is this analogy is like, would you rather be hit by a truck or the shadow of a truck? And the shadow is like the reminder of the reality of death and like past cultures and how they've been terrible, and we find ourselves on those paths of the old way of thinking or behaving that is not toward love but is maybe more toward pride and those types of ways. So what has it been like? I have painful. Did you have fear? So this is like, were you scared even though you knew that the shepherd was there? I didn't know I knew, but I did know. I was detached. I was just kind of like, well, I'm just removed from the situation, kind of not a here or there, just like, this is what's happening. And I didn't know at the time, but for which Bible texts were most precious to you at the time and why? It's the renewal of the mind, Romans 12:2, just because it's a sense of re-accomplishment is an option. Accomplishment at that time was not the direction I was going toward, I think. Obviously, something was accomplished. I certainly learned a lot. I don't know if I would have learned any other way. I probably would have. But anyway, Romans. I do want to read this one because I think it's significant. 780. 780. Let's see here. So Romans 12. It's just a valuable text that people can apply and not maybe feel as lost as they were, because it has do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of they might not be good. Some patterns can be good, some patterns can be not so good. So it depends on the test. That's what I like too, is the test. It's like, if you step back, you might even see the tests and not even realize they occurred. And I think that might be the case for a number of people where they're like, why is this thing happening? And if they kind of like go through time and they look back and they go, oh, that was a pattern. And this is what I was the pattern I was falling into. This is when it changed. But if a person can catch on more quickly, that's like, oh, this is a pattern of maybe not so great. But then they can have steps of, is it great or not? Like, because a person doesn't want to just immediately turn their back if they shouldn't, but sometimes there probably are situations where they should just go, no, I recognize this. I'm going to just get out of here. So how do you think the sheep ended up in the valley? Do you think the sheep went there on their own, or did the shepherd lead the sheep that way himself? Justify your answer. And I felt I did, so I'm going to read this one too. I liked how it asked to justify your answer. I was like, oh, that's a really good thing to break down or analyze or proceed with. So I'm looking for Psalm 23. 23, 4 and 2. So how do you think the sheep ended up in the valley? Guidance. Do you think the sheep went there on their own, or did the shepherd lead the sheep that way himself? They chose to follow. So justify your answer. Psalm 23, so 4 and 2. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So then, number 2, he makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. So that's how I justified my answer. Have you ever felt that you have been falsely led into the valley? How did you respond to God during this time? Why do you think the shepherd might be willing to risk being misunderstood by permitting us to enter a dark valley? So I put, have you been falsely led into the valley? Yes. How did you respond to God during this time? I sought church. Not even like, and that's the thing about consciousness. I didn't. I sought church, and it just, I don't know. It felt like exercise or eating or just something that is necessary, important, or significant. It's just something that is just a part of life. And I didn't really realize at the time, I guess. Yeah, anyway. I think that's everything. Why do you think the shepherd might be willing to risk being misunderstood by permitting us to enter a dark valley? The contrast awareness of like, okay, this is where I was, now I'm here, I'm glad I'm here, not where I was. So Wednesday, June 29th, what types of enemies have you had in your life? How have you responded to those who have tried to hurt you or those you care for? How well did you follow Christ's words to us in Matthew 5:44 or Paul's in Romans 12:18-21? Have you ever had enemies in your life? A series. How have you responded to those who have tried to hurt you or those you care for? Distance or conversation. Just try to work through the issue. But some people can't be talked to. Some people have made their decision in their mind, and they're like, well, there's nothing else to discuss, nothing to reveal. And so then the distance is like, that comes into effect. How well did you follow Christ's word to... How well did you follow Christ's words to us in Matthew 4? I feel like this is worded strange. How well did you follow Christ's words to us in Matthew 5:44 or Paul's in Romans 12:18-21? I gave a real chance for explanation. I mean, what if God didn't explain? Where would we be? Like, anyway, so to not have conversation, not to have communication, honesty, sincerity, it's just well, it would be basically just any other mammal barking at each other, and it's, yeah. How could the three items, table, oil, cup, in Psalm 23:5 help to... Is that ever the whole political lines and all that stuff? And it just does not come across as efficient in a lot of situations. So anyway. Okay. What evidence is there from your own knowledge of God that can illustrate the certainty that his goodness and unfailing love pursue us? What evidence could you add from the Bible? How could you share this with those who may be questioning the certainty of God's care? How is the cross the greatest example of this pursuit? Okay, so the first question, what evidence is there from your own knowledge of God that can illustrate the certainty that his goodness and unfailing love pursue us? Little miracles, just things that go well that, cannot go well. Fasting might be an example. I mean, just a little miracle. Hope for and certain of what we do not see. It's so important to go, okay, is this a little miracle or a big miracle? Is it no miracle? What is it? Do you see this thing happening or not? And by faith, so now faith is being sure of the definition, and people don't use like the word properly. If you watch the news and listen to how people say it, they basically mean wish when they say hope. But I'm just gonna put it like that. Yeah, because the denotation of the word hope is actually in Hebrews. It's like, well, be certain of what you do not see. Things, that's just what I noticed about it anyway. Okay. So the next question is, how could you share this with those who may be questioning the certainty of God's care? But so yeah, just by saying, what is a blessing and how many can equal one blessing, God's there, right? And if you can count more, God's there more. Like, that's why it's important to be blessings to each other, I think, because this is a tough life. So if be the blessing, I guess. How is the cross the greatest example of this pursuit? I just would say living by example. I get really people who didn't help Jesus more. It's really telling. And people are not helpful to this day too, and well, it's very telling. uh, so this is the last day, Friday, July 1st. To what extent have you been aware that the terrible perplexity and trial that comes into your life may actually be part of your discipline in the school of Christ? So I have less tact with ungodly people. I like talking, but not to ungodly people because it's far more difficult and challenging. But I still make an effort. Realize, is it this or is it that? Are they not godly? And it's not like it's something someone is just simply not godly. It's just they, they might be a narcissist. That is not so godly to be a narcissist, and they're difficult to talk to. But not impossible. And there's redeeming qualities. Yeah. So. So, how might our help, comfort, and encouragement to those in the valley be part of the shepherd's way of getting people through their crisis? What things can you as a church do to be better used by the Lord to help those in need? So I have it inspire renewal of the mind. That's what I have. That's for the first question. How might our help, comfort, and encouragement to those in the valley be part of the shepherd's way of getting people through their crisis? Does that answer the question? It's such a long question. How might our help, comfort, and valley be part of the shepherd's way of getting people through their crisis? So how do you get them through? I feel like I didn't answer both questions. What things can you as a church do to be better used by the Lord to help those in need? So the help, the comfort, and the encouragement may inspire renewal of the mind. That's what that is. So, what things can you as a church do to be better used by the Lord to help those in need? I mean, I'm not a church, so I guess maybe I just didn't really answer that question because I can't really answer that question. That's more of like a group discussion. And I know how that goes, or can go. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Yeah, so it's an inspiration. What things can you, as a church, do to be better? So yeah, just developing the tests. I'm gonna write that down now because I didn't really put an answer. Not that, and I'm not sure if a test can be an algorithm or an equation, but chances are it can be. But obviously, some tests might be a little layered and difficult to interpret because it might take a while to comprehend the layers. Anyway, let's see here. So in class, go around and have each person talk about how goodness and mercy pursued them. What can you learn from one another's experience? That's, yeah. Hello, anyone's experience out there? So I have fasting. I was uncertain. I heard more and more, fasting, it's this or that thing, can be like this or that. And then I tried it, and then my body feels better. So, that was, I felt pursued by that. I wasn't really seeking fasting. It just kind of came up in conversation on different videos, and I'm like, fasting, okay. Wake up hungry and have a drink of tea and drink tea when I'm hungry throughout the day. Got my green tea. Yeah, and I don't know if it's the tea, but at first I felt like sick when I was hungry, and instead of having food, I had water. My body was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And my stomach felt kind of nauseated. So that's just a heads up. I don't know if that's for everyone, but yeah, there's stuff to know. Think about the last hours of Christ's life as he entered into the crucible. From what you can tell, either from the Bible or Ellen G. White, The Desire of Ages is a great source. How was Jesus in his humanity able to endure? What can we take from his example for ourselves in whatever crucibles we face as well? So for me, I put referring to God's word. That can remind people of humanity. Absolutely. I mean, and in humanity, but more importantly, the humanity. So, okay, let's see here. I made a note, Matthew. Should be here pretty quick. There's Matthew. Matthew 4. Next page. Matthew 4:7. Jesus answered him, "It is also written, do not put the Lord your God to the test." So, and the other question, what can we take from his example for ourselves in whatever crucibles we face as well? So dwell on God's word. So decision makers, that's everything for that study. So thanks.